All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to Diabetes Talk. I'm your host, Charlie O'Connell, and tonight's topic is my partner doesn't want to work out. How can I help? And you know what, guys? This is one of the most common, most frustrating, and challenging aspects of having success with a healthy lifestyle because so many of us are in relationships where we really depend on our partner to have happy experiences. And when one person is basically not participating or not actively seeking a fitness lifestyle, it can be very challenging for ourselves to actually get exercise. The other aspect of this is so many of us have loved ones that we really care about, and it can be devastating, it can be emotionally so draining when you have a loved one, whether it's your spouse, your wife, or your husband, your father, your mother, or your kid, and basically you know that they need exercise, and for whatever reason they're not showing or demonstrating the willingness or the desire to get exercise. This can be an incredibly challenging situation. So tonight's topic is about how do I help a loved one begin exercise, maintain exercise, or start having success with exercise. And the first thing, guys, in this talk is understanding a very important thing. Nobody likes to be should on. So what that means is do not tell people you should do this, you should do that. That is like the number one way to get people to not do what you want. So be careful with that and make sure that you're not telling people, you should be exercising more. Didn't your doctor tell you that you should do this? Or this is really actually the one that you just will have zero success with. Don't ask people, should you be eating that? Okay? Anything that contains the phrase should is not going to lead to a successful outcome because nobody likes to be should on. All right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is very important to understand is that ultimately the decision to embrace fitness is a decision that the person has to make for themselves. And if they're not ready, there's very little that you can do to make them ready. And sometimes that can be really heartbreaking. It can be totally heartbreaking when the person that you love, you know how much exercise could benefit them or how much they need exercise. And if they're not ready for that, there's not much that you can do to make them ready for it. Okay? The other thing that's important to understand is that I have never met a person that wanted to have uncontrolled diabetes, and I've never met a person who did not want to exercise. And this is very important to understand. What I have met are many people who didn't know what to do to get their diabetes under control, and they didn't know what exercise to do to have success. And this is where you can play a very positive role. All right? And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the first question is, getting to the point of how can I encourage my loved one to get exercise? The first one is share this video with them. You can share things with them. Don't have the expectation that they are going to watch it. Don't have the expectation that they are going to take action. But you definitely can share this with them because it's communicating to them a very important thing. And what you're communicating to them is, I love you. That in and of itself is letting the person know that you care about them and you're thinking about them. So that's, and again here guys, this is an exercise in psychology because human nature is to embrace fitness. Human nature is to enjoy and be happy and have fun. with fitness. If that's not the case, it's usually because of a reason. And so, that's kind of the second part here. We're going to talk about this a little bit later, is figuring out and understanding the reason. The reason usually has to do with a negative experience that happened in the past. And that negative experience could have been physical. That negative experience could have been emotional. That negative experience could have been social. And very, very common that those three categories, you'll find if basically you're willing to be sensitive and empathetic to your loved one, you will come to understand that they've either had a negative physical experience with exercise, they've had a negative emotional experience with exercise, or they've had a negative social experience. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of those scenarios, okay? So that's the first thing, right? Share this video with them. By sharing, you are, in a passive way, sharing your concern, and most importantly, you are sharing that you love that person. Now, the second thing, getting into some other strategies. Let your loved one know, and this is especially true for if you're in a partner situation or a family situation, let your loved one know that it helps you exercise when they join you. Okay? And the reason why that is sometimes people do not feel the need to exercise for themselves for a variety of reasons. But they may be swayed to exercise if they're doing it for you. And that is actually a very, very effective and honest communication that is a great way to engage people with exercise. If you let your loved one know, hey, you know what? It really, really, I love it when you join me for this I love it when you join me to go exercise. It makes it more fun for me. I love it when you join me to go exercise because it keeps me honest on my plan. Okay? Hey, I love it when you join me to exercise because it helps me to stick to a consistent path. These are ways that basically you can engage with the person in a way that they ultimately are contributing to your health, and you're taking off the focus on their health. All right? And usually, when you put it that way, people will join you. Okay? And this isn't about, this isn't about like alternative motives, or this isn't, basically playing the switch game on people. It's an honest communication of, hey, you know what? I really like when you join me to exercise. It really, really helps me maintain a healthier lifestyle when you join me for exercise, right? That's a very, very effective way of getting your partner or your loved one to start exercise or to basically begin working out. The next thing is, if you do, if through whatever methodology or way that you convince your loved one or your partner to start exercising and to join you, this is very, very important, make sure to start slow. Avoid the temptation to basically, you're so excited that the person has joined you for exercise and, you take them out on a 2-hour hike, or you take them to your favorite spin class, or you take them to your favorite boot camp. I see this over and over and over again. Friends, people that love boot camp, they will recruit their friends and they bring them in a situation that is just totally inappropriate. Usually, boot camps are incredibly challenging physical exertions that require not only the person to be in shape, but their heart and their mind needs to be committed to the pain that exercise causes. And there's that phrase, no pain, no gain. That gets overused quite a bit in boot camp, and that can be a very, very negative experience. So don't push your friend, don't push your loved one, don't push your partner too fast, too far, too early. It is always, always much better to start slow, okay? Start with a short walk together. Let them know how much you enjoyed that, okay? Start by bringing them to an introductory yoga class. Start by bringing them to an introduction to a fitness class, or if you're going to the gym, basically be very, very conscious of, if the person hasn't been working out for a long time, don't overestimate their ability to exercise, okay? And if you like doing GlucoseZone, for example, and you select one of our videos, select one of our level 1 videos, okay? Don't just go right into the hardest workout that you can find because you're so excited about the benefits of that type of activity, okay? Because ultimately, you don't want them to overdo it, you don't want them to hurt themselves, and you don't want them to reinforce that they don't enjoy exercise. And that's a very, very important piece here, okay? You want them to begrudgingly admit to themselves that it wasn't so bad. You want them to have a little smirk on their face at the end of, I kind of enjoyed that. Or, actually the best scenario is a little tiny feeling of, I could have done more. If the person has a feeling of, I could have done more, that is a huge confidence booster that fitness and exercise is something that they can do. Okay, and this is getting back to those situations in the past. So if you have a negative physical, let's break that down right now. So let's start with negative physical experiences. Let's say that the person has a bad knee. Well, guess what? Bad knees are incredibly painful. They are a constant source of agitation and anxiety, and basically have the potential to put you in a permanently bad mood. Once a person has a bad knee, they are extremely cautious with re-aggravating or inflaming their knee. So when you are encouraging somebody to exercise, if you know they have a bad knee, be very, very careful in selecting and suggesting the exercise to do, and avoid exercise where there's potential for them to re-aggravate or re-injure their knee. And the same thing goes for lower back. The same thing certainly goes for any type of cardiovascular issue. Now, if we're talking about diabetes specifically, it's very important that you understand that people who are inactive are much, much more susceptible to hypoglycemia than people who are active. And the reason why that is if you're inactive and you have diabetes, and especially if you're taking insulin, or especially if you're taking oral medications that cause your pancreas to secrete more insulin, the effect of exercise will have a shock effect to their system. And there's a high probability that the person will go hypoglycemic. And I'm going to give you a good example. So we had a person come to the GlucoseZone, and this person was overweight. This person had not exercised in a long time, and they were taking long-acting insulin. And they were taking a large amount of long-acting insulin. They were taking about 70 units of Lantus twice a day, which is a lot of insulin. And this person's blood sugar levels were chronically high. Okay, so this person definitely needed exercise. Now, in this woman's case, when she came to the GlucoseZone, we tested her blood sugar, like we always do. Always test blood sugar first. And her number was approximately 270. Very, very high. even though she had taken 140 units of Lantus that day. So, what did we do? Okay, we very cautiously said, all right, you know what? We're going to try and do some exercise. We're going to start off by walking on the treadmill. So we had this person walk on the treadmill. She was not running. She was going less than 3 miles an hour and at 0 incline. Okay? She walked for 20 minutes. At the 20-minute mark, I asked her, I said, how do you feel? She said, I feel great. I feel really, really good. I said, do you feel like you can keep going? And she said, yeah, I think I can keep going. So I said, okay. About 3 or 4 minutes later, she got this look in her face. She said, you know what? I don't really feel well. I think I need to stop. I said, okay. So we stopped, tested her blood sugar. Her blood sugar had dropped to 40. And this is a cautionary tale. Very, very important to understand that if somebody is inactive and they have diabetes and they start exercising, they can experience a rapid and dramatic and sometimes very, very dangerous hypoglycemic experience. So as a person as a family member, as a loved one, be conscious of that, okay? Make sure that you are conscious of it, that you're taking that into consideration when you're helping somebody exercise, and make sure that the person has access to fast-acting sugar. And this is another piece here of basically encouraging people to exercise. Take the initiative to prepare for unwanted situations with diabetes and exercise. So in our case, we were prepared. We were able to give this person a juice immediately. She also ended up having a granola bar. You could see the look on her face. She was shocked. We were all shocked because it's shocking to see the power and the impact of exercise. But this is a kind of cautionary story of being careful. All right. Now, another thing that you can do, let's break this down. So those are physical examples of negative experience, okay? Then, and diabetes specific negative experiences. Then there's the emotional side. So the emotional side of negative experiences with exercise have to do with people judging themselves. So there are certain personality types that judge themselves and basically tend to be very, very critical of their ability to perform and place judgment on their physical state. And that leads to basically, once you kind of place that emotional weight on exercise and you start judging yourself, usually what happens is the person doesn't like the result that they achieved, and that feeling of not liking the result is so strong that they just stop exercising, okay, because they don't like that feeling. And you see this all the time with men in particular who at one point in their previous history were athletic. Maybe they were a great football player in high school, and now it's been 20 years, and they're very emotional about their fitness or lack thereof, and they place judgment on themselves, okay? Very, very important that you're aware of that, okay? Because those are negative things that prevent people from exercising. The way that you solve that is by introducing that loved one to people like them, okay? And that sometimes can be really, really hard. But you can do that through social media, no question about it. And you can also do it by reaching out to their friends. And this is a very, very effective strategy. So for example, let's say that you have a husband that you know needs to get exercise, but isn't doing it. Reach out to your husband friend and ask the friend to invite your husband on that next fishing trip, or that next hike, or that next golf round, or that next pickup basketball game. Okay? That is a very, very effective way to help your loved one get back into exercise. And the same thing can be said for on the female side. Let's say you have a wife or a daughter or a mom that you know needs exercise. Reach out to your wife, your daughter, or your mom's friends. Reach out to the friends that you know are active and ask them, hey, can you invite my mom to join you at your next spinning class? Can you invite my daughter to join you at the next yoga class that you go to? Hey, can you invite my wife to join you for a walk? These are very, very effective ways to help people. All right, now the last part is the negative social aspect. So negative social aspects usually have to do with experiences that happen sometimes as early as grade school, where basically the person felt embarrassed or somehow felt like a loser because of lack of performance or being made fun of. And you would not believe how many people we have helped here in the past, who share with us, ever since little Johnny in 7th grade made fun of me in gym class, I have hated going to the gym. It really is crazy how these social experiences can negatively impact people for years. And if you're concerned about the loved one, don't judge them on it. Try and be empathetic of it. Try and understand it. Okay? All right. Now, some other very, very effective ways to get your loved one or your partner to start exercising are planned vacations and events that are exciting and require physical activity, as long as you're being conscious of their limitations. So if your loved one has a knee problem, scheduling a hike down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon is not going to encourage that person to get exercise. It's going to be the exact opposite. They're going to be incredibly upset. But scheduling that person to, for example, do a bike tour, that's a good example of something that they probably much more likely can do. And, bike riding is actually an amazing, amazing thing that you can do, that most people can do, regardless of how inactive they've been. And there are some amazing, amazing bike riding fundraising events. There's one of my favorites, the one I've done several times, is the JDRF Ride to Cure. Okay? The American Diabetes Association does something called the Tour de Cure. These are phenomenal, fun, exciting, athletic events where you're raising money for charity. They're always fun, and they really, really can instill a sense of accomplishment and really, really kickstart and reignite a passion for fitness. And bike riding, we've seen countless people basically use the bike as a way to kickstart their fitness. All right? And if you can share that with your partner, if you can do the sign-up process, these are like the little things that make a huge difference. You take the initiative and say, hey, honey, I signed this up for the Tour de Cure. It's coming up in 2 months. Okay? You do all that legwork. It's very, very hard for somebody to refuse to do a charity bike ride. Okay? They have to really, really dig their heels in and basically get incredibly grumpy. And while everybody kind of has the right to do that, if you just let that person own their feelings and you don't judge them and you don't shit on them, most likely they're going to come around. And they might do it begrudgingly and they might drag their heels, but at the end, you know what's going to happen? They're going to have a smile on their face because fitness is fun. And ultimately, guys, that is the final message here is you know that fitness is fun. You have that spark has lit inside of you where you are engaged with fitness. And ultimately, you want your loved one to feel that engagement too. Okay? You have to find things that are fun for the both of you. And if you can do that, if you can really, really understand that usually people don't exercise because of some sort of specific reason, whether it's physical, emotional, or social, and be empathetic to that and understand it, and don't try and force them to do something that's just going to reignite that negative experience, okay? And you share with that person how much you care about them, they will come around, all right? And on that note, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Ultimately, guys, you can't make people do something. You know, this is one of the things that people make the mistake all the time with trying to get people to exercise or trying to get people to basically stop drinking or stop abusing drugs or stop smoking. You can't force people to change behavior. All you can do is be there, stay positive, stay encouraging, and when they are ready, you be ready with a positive, fun, and happy mindset and emotional engagement, and that person will thank you later on. All right? And on that note, guys, we're going to sign off. I hope this has been informative for you guys. Instagram, YouTube, GlucoseZone app, Facebook. Great to see you guys. I cannot wait to see you guys again in the GlucoseZone.